as the idea of true love in the Middle Ages seemed like a fairy tale. Did anyone really find a lasting connection when marriages were mostly about power and land? Prepare to explore the surprising depths of human connection from the 5th to the 15th centuries. Number 8. Eleanor of Castile and Edward I. The story of Eleanor of Castile and Edward I unfolds like a grand tapestry woven with threads of deep affection, unwavering partnership, and profound grief. Their connection began in a time when royal marriages were primarily about alliances and expanding influence. Eleanor, born in Castile, now modern day, Spain, was a princess of considerable intelligence and grace. Edward, the future King of England, was a young, ambitious, and formidable prince. Their marriage, arranged when they were both still quite young in 1254, was initially a diplomatic coup for his father, King Henry III. Eleanor was sister to the future king, Alfonso X of Castile, and her union with Edward helped solidify English claims in Gascony, a crucial territory across the English Channel. From the very beginning, however, it quickly became clear that their bond was far more than a simple political arrangement. Eleanor traveled to England to meet her fiancé, and their first encounter reportedly blossomed into a genuine liking that grew into a powerful love. Unlike many royal couples who spent much of their lives apart, Edward and Eleanor were almost constant companions. She was not a queen who stayed quietly in her chambers, waiting for her husband to return from war or state affairs. Instead, Eleanor was an active participant in Edward's life, traveling with him extensively. She was often by his side, whether he was campaigning in Wales, journeying through continental Europe, or even embarking on the perilous Ninth Crusade to the Holy Land. Her presence offered him comfort, stability, and a reliable confidant. Counts from the time describe her as a woman of considerable strength and character, capable of managing complex logistical challenges that arose from her continuous travels with the royal court. One of the most enduring stories, though perhaps embellished by later romantic accounts, highlights her unwavering devotion during the Crusade. In 1272, while in Acre, Edward was reportedly wounded by a poisoned dagger. The situation was dire, and his life hung in the balance. Legends tell of Eleanor, out of desperate love, sucking the poison from his wound herself to save him. While historians suggest that any such attempt would likely have been fatal for her, and that Edward was more likely treated by a physician, the mere existence of this tale speaks volumes about the popular perception of their bond. It illustrates the belief among the people that Eleanor was willing to undertake any sacrifice for her husband, embodying a profound loyalty and selflessness that transcended ordinary spousal duties. Whether literally true or not, the story captured the essence of their celebrated connection beyond personal affection. Eleanor was also an astute businesswoman and a shrewd politician. She amassed significant landholdings through her own efforts, proving herself a capable administrator of her vast estates. She used her wealth and influence to support her husband's projects, including his ambitious castle-building campaigns in Wales. Her active involvement in the royal administration and her steady influence behind the scenes made her a vital partner in Edward's reign. Contemporary chroniclers, such as Walter of Gisborough, often remarked on her intelligence and her positive impact on the king. She was known for her patronage of the arts and literature, fostering a vibrant cultural environment around the court. Presence brought a certain refinement and stability to the often turbulent world of medieval politics. Together, Eleanor and Edward had at least 16 children, though only 6 lived to adulthood. Their large family was a testament to their long and close relationship. Eleanor dedicated herself to their upbringing, ensuring they received a good education and were prepared for their future roles. Her devotion extended to her children, instilling in them the values of their royal lineage. The survival of their son, the future Edward II, was particularly crucial for the stability of the Plantagenet dynasty, and Eleanor played a significant role in his early life. true depth of Edward's devotion to Eleanor and the overwhelming impact she had on his life became devastatingly clear with her death. In November 1290, while traveling north, Eleanor fell ill and passed away in Harby. Nottinghamshire, Edward was inconsolable. His grief was profound and immediate. He abandoned the military campaign he was on and personally supervised the journey of her body back to Westminster Abbey. This was no swift, quiet affair. Over the course of 12 days, Eleanor's body was transported across England, stopping at 12 different locations where the cortege rested. Overnight, at each of these resting places, Edward ordered the construction of a magnificent commemorative cross. These were the famous Eleanor Crosses, elaborate and beautiful monuments marking the stages of her final journey. Of the original 12 crosses, only 3 remain today, in Waltham Cross, Geddington, and Hardingstone. Each one was a testament to Edward's enduring love and sorrow, an unprecedented public display of personal grief for a medieval monarch. The scale and expense of these monuments were extraordinary, reflecting a devotion that transcended mere kingly duty. They were not simply memorials to a queen. They were declarations of a deep, personal loss. Chroniclers of the time noted Edward's changed demeanor after Eleanor's death, describing him as deeply affected and often melancholy. The Westminster Abbey chronicler wrote that Edward loved her with an incomparable love. His actions demonstrated that her passing left a void in his life that could not be filled. Eleanor of Castile and Edward I forged a partnership that went far beyond political convenience. Their story is a powerful reminder that even in an era of arranged marriages, genuine affection, mutual respect, and profound devotion could blossom, leaving a lasting mark on history and on the heart of a powerful king. Number 7. Philippa of Hainault and Edward III. In the chronicles of English royalty, the marriage of Philippa of Hainault and Edward III stands as a luminous example of a truly devoted partnership, one that endured for over 40 years and shaped an entire era. Philippa, a princess from the county of Hainault in what is now Belgium, was selected as the bride for the young Edward, heir to the English throne, in a diplomatic arrangement designed to secure valuable alliances for England. They were married in January 1328 when Philippa was just 14 and Edward 15. What began as a strategic union quickly evolved into a bond characterized by deep affection, mutual respect, and unwavering support. Philippa was known for her gentle demeanor, her wisdom, and her unwavering loyalty. Unlike some queens who focus primarily on courtly intrigue or personal power, Philippa dedicated herself to her family, her husband, and the welfare of the kingdom. She was a constant source of stability and good counsel for Edward Aquitaine, who would become one of England's most famous warriors. Initiating the 100 Years' War against France, while Edward pursued military glory, Philippa managed the realm at home, often acting as regent during his absences. Her calm and steady hand proved invaluable during these tumultuous times. One of the most celebrated instances of Philippa's influence occurred during the Siege of Calais in 1347. After a long and brutal siege, the starving citizens of Calais were forced to surrender. Edward, angered by their stubborn resistance, demanded that 6 of the town's most prominent burghers, or citizens, present themselves to him with ropes around their necks, prepared for execution as a condition of sparing the rest of the town. The scene was grim, and the burghers, displaying immense courage, came forth ready to sacrifice themselves. Edward was resolute in his demand, his pride wounded by the protracted siege. It was Philippa, heavily pregnant at the time, who intervened. According to the chronicler Jean Froissart, who meticulously documented the events of the 100 Years' War, Philippa fell to her knees. Before Edward, her eyes filled with tears. She pleaded passionately for the lives of the burghers, reminding him of his noble reputation and urging him to show mercy. She appealed to his chivalry and his love for her, stressing that such an act of cruelty would stain his honor. Edward, moved by his wife's distress and her heartfelt plea, relented. He granted her request, pardoning the brave men of Calais. This act of compassion, directly attributed to Philippa's persuasive intervention, demonstrated not only her humane character but also the profound influence she held over her powerful husband. Her devotion to justice and mercy was so strong that it swayed a king known for his stern resolve. Philippa was also a devoted mother, bearing Edward many children, a remarkable 12 in total. Her large family, which included 7 sons, ensured the continuity of the Plantagenet dynasty and provided Edward with a strong succession line. She took great care in their upbringing, ensuring they were well educated and prepared for their roles in the royal family. Her sons, including the famous Edward the Black Prince and John of Gaunt, were destined to play significant roles in English and European history. Her devotion to her children and her careful nurturing of the royal line were cornerstones of her queenship. Beyond her family and her political duties, Philippa was a patron of the arts and an advocate for the English wool trade, which was the backbone of the nation's economy. She played a key role in bringing Flemish weavers to England, helping to establish the prosperous textile industry that would define English commerce for centuries. Her intelligence and forward-thinking approach were evident in these economic initiatives, which directly benefited the kingdom and its people. She founded Queen's College at Oxford University in 1341, a testament to her commitment to education and her desire to leave a lasting legacy of learning. Throughout their long marriage, Edward III showed profound affection and respect for Philip. He often consulted her on matters of state, and she was frequently entrusted with the regency during his absences. On campaign, his trust in her judgment was unwavering. The court of Edward and Philippa was renowned for its chivalry and magnificence, and Philippa's presence was central to its character. Her quiet strength and unwavering support allowed Edward to pursue his ambitious military campaigns with confidence, knowing that the realm was in capable hands. In 1369, after 41 years of marriage, Philippa of Hainault passed away. Edward was deeply affected by her death. Chroniclers noted his immense grief, recognizing the end of a long and exceptionally successful partnership. Jean Froissart described her as the most gentle queen, the most liberal, and the most courteous that ever reigned in her time. Passing marked a turning point in Edward's life, and he never fully recovered from the loss of his beloved queen. Their story illustrates that true devotion in the medieval world could be found not only in grand romantic gestures, but also in decades of quiet support, wise counsel, and unwavering loyalty that underpinned a thriving royal partnership. Number 6. Anne of Bohemia and Richard II. The marriage of Anne of Bohemia and Richard II of England, while initially viewed with skepticism and political maneuvering, blossomed into one of the most genuinely affectionate and devoted unions in medieval English royal history. Anne, a daughter of Charles IV, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Bohemia, arrived in England in December 1381, a young woman of just 15. Richard, King of England. Their marriage in January 1382 was primarily a diplomatic one intended to secure an alliance with the Holy Roman Empire against France and to help solidify Richard's precarious position on the throne following the peasants' revolt. The English people, however, were not immediately enamored. They viewed her as a foreign princess who brought no dowry in money or land, and her arrival was seen as an expensive affair. Despite these inauspicious beginnings, a profound and immediate bond formed between the young king and queen. Richard, often depicted as a sensitive and somewhat insecure monarch, found in Anne a steadfast companion and a source of deep emotional comfort. Unlike the strategic and often cold relationships typical of royal couples, Richard and Anne's marriage was characterized by genuine love and mutual respect, which was highly unusual for the era and noted by several contemporary chroniclers. Anne quickly earned the epithet Good Queen Anne. Her gentleness, compassion, and kindness endeared her not only to Richard, but also gradually to the English people. She was known for her acts of mercy, and her interventions on behalf of those who had fallen out of favor or faced harsh judgments. One notable instance involved her plea for citizens of London who had incurred Richard's wrath. Her intercession softened the king's anger, showing her powerful yet gentle influence over him. She was a calming presence, helping to temper Richard's sometimes volatile temper and erratic decisions. The chronicler, Thomas Walsingham, often critical of Richard, nevertheless recorded Anne's virtuous character and her good influence. She also played a significant role in introducing new cultural trends to the English court. Anne was part of the sophisticated Bohemian court, and her influence is credited with bringing a new level of fashion and intellectual refinement to England. She popularized the side saddle for women, making riding much more comfortable and dignified. More significantly, her household became a center for literary patronage, fostering poets and scholars, and she was a collector of books herself. This interest in culture and learning was shared with Richard, and it further deepened their bond beyond mere romantic affection. Their shared intellectual pursuits and appreciation for refinement were cornerstones of their partnership. Richard, in turn, was deeply devoted to Anne. He adored her and valued her counsel, often seeking her opinion on matters of state and personal affairs. He showered her with gifts and attention, and they spent considerable time together, a rarity for royal couples of the time. The court of Richard and Anne was known for its lavishness and its emphasis on chivalry and courtly love. And Anne was at the heart of this atmosphere. Presence seemed to bring out the best in Richard, offering him stability and affection that he desperately needed. The French chronicler, Jean Froissart, who spent time at Richard's court, observed the profound love and harmony between the royal couple, noting it was a love not often seen among kings and queens. The true extent of Richard's devotion to Anne was tragically revealed by her premature death. In 1394, after 12 years of marriage, Anne succumbed to the plague at Sheen Manor, a royal residence near London. Her death, at just 28 years old, utterly devastated Richard. His grief was reportedly so overwhelming that he ordered the destruction of Sheen Manor, the place where she died, so that no one else would ever live there again. This extreme act was a raw and public expression of his profound sorrow and the immense void her passing left in his life. The magnificent manor, a testament to royal grandeur, was literally torn down, a symbol of Richard's shattered heart. Richard's behavior following Anne's death became increasingly erratic and self-destructive. He never truly recovered from her loss. He became more authoritarian, more suspicious, and more prone to fits of rage. His subsequent actions, which led to his deposition and eventual death, are often linked by historians to the emotional instability that began after Anne's passing. Her death removed the one person who could consistently temper his excesses and offer him genuine unconditional support. The impact of her loss was not only personal but also profoundly political, as his reign spiraled into crisis without her stabilizing presence. The story of Anne of Bohemia and Richard II stands as a poignant testament to a rare and genuine royal love. It demonstrates that devotion in the Middle Ages could be a deep emotional connection where one partner's presence was utterly essential to the other's well-being and stability, leaving an indelible mark on their life and the course of history. Number 5. Blanche of Castile and Louis VIII. The story of Blanche of Castile is one of extraordinary devotion, not just to a husband whose reign was tragically short, but to his legacy, their children, and the very future of the French monarchy. Born in 1188, Blanche was the granddaughter of Eleanor of Aquitaine, a formidable figure in her own right. Her marriage to Louis, the eldest son of King Philip II, Augustus of France, in 1200, was a strategic move aimed at solidifying peace between France and England. At the time of their marriage, she was just 12 years old, and Louis was 13. What began as a diplomatic alliance matured into a respectful and fertile partnership. Louis VIII's reign as King of France was remarkably brief, lasting only from 1223 to 1226. Despite its brevity, it was a period of significant military success and consolidation of royal power. Blanche was a supportive queen, providing him with a large family which was crucial for the continuation of the Capetian dynasty. She bore him at least 12 children, though many did not survive infancy, a common tragedy of the era. Her devotion to her children, particularly her eldest surviving son, Louis IX, would define her life and profoundly impact the future of France. Upon Louis VIII's unexpected death, in November 1226, Blanche was plunged into a crisis. Her eldest son, the future Louis IX, was only 12 years old, far too young to rule independently. Blanche was immediately declared regent for her son, a position of immense power and peril. A foreign-born queen, even one who had resided in France for decades, holding such authority over a child king, was an unprecedented challenge. Many powerful French barons, ever eager to assert their independence from the crown, saw this as an opportunity to weaken royal authority. They launched a series of rebellions testing Blanche's resolve and the very fabric of the young monarchy. It was during this regency that Blanche's fierce devotion to her husband's legacy and her children became undeniably clear. She faced down the rebellious feudal lords with incredible courage, political skill, and even military leadership. She rallied loyal forces, negotiated treaties, and personally led troops when necessary. Her unwavering determination to protect her son's inheritance and the unity of the kingdom which her late husband had worked to strengthen was absolute. Chronicler Matthew Paris, though English, noted her exceptional capabilities and firmness during this tumultuous period. She was a queen who understood the intricate balance of power and wielded it with a strategic mind. Blanche's maternal devotion extended beyond protecting her son's throne. She meticulously guided his upbringing, instilling in him strong moral and religious values. She ensured he received a rigorous education, not just in governance and warfare, but also in piety and justice. Her influence was so profound that Louis IX grew to be one of France's most revered monarchs, known for his saintliness, his just rule, and his commitment to peace. Louis IX adored his mother and relied on her counsel throughout his life, even long after he came of age. This speaks volumes about the depth of their relationship and her continued unwavering devotion to his success and well-being. Her political acumen was evident in her skillful management of foreign relations. She signed the Treaty of Paris in 1229, which ended the Albigensian Crusade in southern France, consolidating royal control over the region. She also cleverly outmaneuvered English attempts to reclaim lost territories in France, demonstrating her keen understanding of international diplomacy and her steadfast commitment to her adopted homeland. Her ability to navigate these complex political landscapes, often with limited resources, highlighted her exceptional qualities as a ruler. Even after Louis IX officially took the reins of power, Blanche remained a powerful and respected figure at court. She continued to advise her son, and he entrusted her with important missions, including another regency when he departed on the Seventh Crusade. Her dedication to the Capetian dynasty was total, and she worked tirelessly to ensure its stability and prosperity. Her role as a devoted mother guardian of the realm and shrewd political operator cemented her place as one of the most influential women of the Middle Ages. Blanche of Castile's life story is a testament to a unique form of devotion, a powerful, enduring loyalty to her husband's memory, which manifested through her fierce protection of their children and the kingdom they entrusted to her. She was not just a queen or a regent. She was the indefatigable guardian of the Capetian legacy, ensuring that the fruits of her husband's brief reign ripened into a flourishing era for France under their saintly son. Her resolve, intelligence, and unwavering commitment underscore a profound bond that transcended personal grief to serve a greater purpose. Number 4. Empress Theodora and Justinian I. The story of Empress Theodora and Emperor Justinian I is a remarkable testament to a partnership of fierce loyalty, shared ambition, and mutual reliance that shaped the Byzantine Empire in the 6th century. Their bond was unusual for its time, defying societal norms and highlighting a devotion rooted in shared power and unwavering support. Theodora's background was far from conventional for an empress. Born into a humble family, her early life was spent as an actress and possibly a courtesan, a profession that often carried a social stigma. Yet, she possessed extraordinary intelligence, wit, and charisma. Justinian, a rising figure in the Byzantine court, was captivated by Theodora. Despite the considerable social objections to their union due to her past, Justinian was determined to marry her. He even changed the law to permit a nobleman to marry a woman from the acting profession, demonstrating his profound commitment to her. Their marriage in 525 was a clear indication of Justinian's deep personal devotion and his recognition of her unique qualities. He saw in her not just a beloved woman, but a shrewd mind and an unyielding will that he knew would be invaluable to his imperial ambitions. Once married, Theodora quickly proved herself to be more than just an empress consort. She became Justinian's indispensable partner in ruling the vast Byzantine Empire. Her influence was immense, and she was far from a decorative figurehead. She participated actively in imperial governance, held audiences, drafted legislation, and wielded significant political power. Justinian trusted her judgment implicitly, often relying on her counsel, particularly during times of crisis. The historian Procopius, who served Justinian, offers both glowing and scathing accounts of Theodora. While his secret history paints a negative picture, his wars and buildings depict her as a powerful and respected co-ruler, highlighting her significant contributions to the empire. The most dramatic and widely cited example of Theodora's unyielding devotion and courage occurred during the Nika riots in 532. This uprising, fueled by chariot racing factions and deep-seated political grievances, escalated into a massive rebellion that threatened to overthrow Justinian's reign. The imperial palace was besieged, and many of Justinian's advisors urged him to flee Constantinople for his own safety. The emperor himself was reportedly wavering, contemplating escape. It was Theodora who, in a moment of supreme crisis, delivered a powerful and inspiring speech that turned the tide. She famously declared that purple, the color of royalty, was a noble shroud. "Royalty is a good burial shroud," she reportedly stated, meaning she would rather die as an empress than live in exile. She asserted that flight would be dishonorable, and that they should stand and fight for their throne. Her resolute courage shamed Justinian and his court into action. Inspired by her unwavering determination, Justinian's generals, Belisarius and Narses, launched a counterattack, brutally suppressing the riots and saving the empire. Theodora's steadfast resolve, in this moment of extreme peril, demonstrated her absolute loyalty to Justinian and their shared imperial project. A devotion that saved his throne. Beyond moments of crisis, Theodora was instrumental in shaping social and legal reforms. She championed the rights of women, enacting laws that prohibited forced prostitution, protected women from abusive husbands, and granted them more legal rights, including property ownership and divorce protections. She established safe houses for former prostitutes and advocated for more compassionate treatment of prisoners. Her devotion extended to the vulnerable in society, leveraging her power to enact positive change, often reflecting her own life experiences. Her commitment to the Christian faith was also profound. She actively participated in theological debates and supported the Miaphysite faction within Christianity, often at odds with Justinian's Chalcedonian views, yet he respected her stance and allowed her influence. This tolerance within their marriage for differing religious perspectives further boosted unique respect and understanding that existed between them. Theodora continued to be Justinian's closest confidant and co-ruler until her death in 548. Her passing left a significant void in Justinian's life and reign. He reportedly never remarried and continued to rule for another 17 years, often relying on her past counsel and upholding the policies they had developed together. The monumental Hagia Sophia, a symbol of Byzantine architectural brilliance, and the Corpus Juris Civilis, a comprehensive reform of Roman law, are often seen as joint achievements testaments to their enduring partnership. Empress Theodora and Justinian I created a legacy of power, reform, and resilience, all forged in a remarkable union of two extraordinary individuals. Their story is a powerful illustration of devotion found not in traditional romance, but in an unbreakable bond of intellectual partnership, political prowess, and unwavering mutual support that enabled them to navigate a turbulent world and leave an indelible mark on history. Number 3. Heloise and Abelard. The story of Heloise and Peter Abelard is not one of traditional medieval courtly love or a politically arranged marriage, but rather a profound and enduring intellectual and emotional devotion that transcended societal scandal, physical separation, and profound personal suffering. Their bond, forged in the vibrant intellectual hub of 12th century Paris, stands as a testament to the power of shared intellect and an unbreakable spiritual connection. Peter Abelard was one of the most brilliant and controversial philosophers and theologians of his age. His intellect was legendary, drawing students from across Europe to his lectures in Paris. Heloise, a young woman of remarkable intelligence and learning, was his student. She was noted for her sharp mind, her mastery of Latin, Greek, and Hebrew, and her philosophical insights, qualities that were exceptional for a woman of her time. Their relationship began as a mentorship, with Abelard becoming her tutor. However, their shared passion for learning and intellectual discourse quickly ignited a passionate, secret affair. Their connection went far beyond physical attraction. It was a meeting of extraordinary minds. They engaged in profound intellectual discussions, challenged each other, and found a resonance in their shared pursuit of knowledge that few others could comprehend. This intellectual intimacy laid the foundation for a deep emotional bond. Heloise became pregnant, and they secretly married to legitimize their child. This clandestine union, however, risked Abelard's promising ecclesiastical career, which relied on celibacy. The secret was eventually discovered by Heloise's uncle Fulbert, a canon of Notre Dame, who was furious at Abelard for supposedly dishonoring his niece. In a brutal act of revenge, Fulbert's men broke into Abelard's lodging and castrated him, bringing a violent end to their physical relationship, and Abelard's hopes for advancement within the church. The devastating act left both Abelard and Heloise profoundly traumatized. Following this tragedy, both Heloise and Abelard entered monastic life. Abelard became a monk, and Heloise, despite her initial resistance, took vows as a nun. This physical separation, however, did not sever their bond. Instead, it transformed their devotion into a different, perhaps even deeper form. A spiritual and intellectual connection sustained through a remarkable series of letters. These letters, which have survived to this day, provide an unparalleled glimpse into their enduring relationship. The correspondence between Heloise and Abelard is not mere romantic longing. It is a profound exploration of love, suffering, theology, and philosophy. Heloise's letters reveal her continued fierce love and longing for Abelard, tempered by her growing spiritual devotion. She grappled with the pain of their separation, the injustice of their fate, and the complexities of her spiritual journey. Her intellectual prowess shines through as she engages with Abelard on theological and philosophical questions, often challenging his views with her own sharp arguments. She writes with an extraordinary mix of vulnerability, intellectual rigor, and unwavering affection. Abelard's letters, while often more focused on spiritual guidance and intellectual defense of his past actions, reveal his continued respect and concern. For Heloise, he recognized her extraordinary intellect and often sought her advice and perspective, especially as she rose to become the respected abbess of the Paraclete. Their letters demonstrate an unbreakable intellectual partnership, where they continue to learn from and challenge each other, even across the monastic walls. Their devotion was expressed through their shared commitment to intellectual honesty, their unwavering concern for each other's spiritual well-being, and their enduring respect for each other's minds. Heloise and Abelard's story embodies a devotion that transcended the physical realm. Their love was reshaped by trauma and separation, but it never truly died. Instead, it evolved into a powerful, enduring spiritual and intellectual bond. Their unique relationship demonstrates that devotion in the medieval world could be found in the profound connection of two minds, a shared pursuit of knowledge, and an unbreakable emotional link that persisted through the most unimaginable hardships. Their decision to be buried together at the Paraclete, and later at Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris, centuries after their deaths, is a final testament to an enduring connection that even death could not fully part. Their devotion lay in the profound and lasting impact they had on each other's intellectual and spiritual lives, a connection that few others could ever replicate. Number 2. Saint Margaret of Scotland and Malcolm III. The story of Saint Margaret of Scotland and Malcolm III is a fascinating portrayal of devotion rooted in mutual respect, intellectual influence, and a shared commitment to the spiritual and social upliftment of a kingdom. Margaret, an English princess, was a direct descendant of the Anglo-Saxon kings of England. After the Norman conquest in 1066, her family sought refuge in Scotland, a land largely considered wild and less refined by the standards of continental Europe. It was there that she met Malcolm III, the reigning King of Scots, a powerful warrior known for his rough manners and fierce independence. Their marriage in 1070 was not a grand political alliance in the traditional sense, but it proved to be a union of immense historical significance. For Scotland, Malcolm, a man of action rather than scholarly pursuits, was deeply impressed by Margaret's piety, intelligence, and refined upbringing. Despite his own unlettered background, he developed a profound respect and affection for his learned and devout queen. Margaret, in turn, recognized Malcolm's genuine kindness and his desire to improve his kingdom. Her devotion to him manifested not in battlefield courage or political maneuvering, but in her gentle yet persistent influence on his character and his court. Margaret set about reforming the Scottish court, introducing more civilized customs, encouraging literacy, and promoting Christian practices that aligned with those of Rome, moving Scotland away from some of its more isolated. She hosted synods and councils, engaging with Scottish clergy to address ecclesiastical abuses and bring the Scottish Church more in line with the broader European Christian world. Her unwavering commitment to Christian charity was also legendary. She established hospices for the poor, cared for orphans, and personally tended to the sick. She spent her days feeding the hungry, always making sure to wash their feet as a sign of humility and service. Malcolm, far from resisting her influence, actively supported his queen's endeavors. He listened to her counsel even when it challenged his established ways. Primary source for Margaret's life, a biography written by her confessor Turgot of Durham, emphasizes Malcolm's deep admiration for her. Turgot recounts that Malcolm would often kiss Margaret's prayer books and her relics, and would order golden covers for her religious texts, even though he could not read them himself. This was a king fierce and unyielding on the battlefield, showing profound reverence for his wife's piety and her spiritual convictions. His actions demonstrated a unique form of devotion, a respect so deep that it embraced her spiritual life and sought to support it. Their marriage was also remarkably fruitful, producing 8 children, 6 sons, and 2 daughters, many of whom went on to play significant roles in Scottish and English history. Margaret was a devoted mother, ensuring her children received a strong education and were raised with the same piety and moral discipline she upheld. She instilled in them a sense of duty and faith, shaping the next generation of Scottish royalty. Her children, including future kings Edgar Alexander I and David I, continued her work of reform and modernization in Scotland, a testament to her enduring influence as a mother. Margaret's devotion to her husband was also evident in her quiet, patient efforts to guide him toward a more virtuous life. She never confronted him harshly, but used gentle persuasion and the power of her own pious example. Her influence was gradual, but softening his character and encouraging him to act with greater justice and compassion towards his subjects. Their relationship was a partnership where each brought out the best in the other. A powerful example of how a devoted spouse can elevate and refine their partner. In 1093, a profound tragedy struck the royal family. Malcolm III, along with their eldest son, Edward, was killed in battle while campaigning in Northumberland. Margaret was already gravely ill when the news reached her. Upon hearing of her husband's and son's deaths, she expressed her grief and then commended herself to God, passing away just 3 days later. Her death, so closely following her husband's, underscored the depth of their bond and her reliance on his presence. St. Margaret of Scotland's story is not about passionate romance or political intrigue, but about a deep, quiet devotion. It is a story of a wife who used her intellect, piety, and gentle strength to uplift her husband, her family, and an entire nation. Malcolm's profound respect and support for her endeavors, even those he didn't fully comprehend, speaks to a different kind of devotion, one rooted in trust, admiration, and a shared purpose of building a better kingdom. She truly lived up to her eventual sainthood, and in doing so forged a bond with her king that transformed Scotland forever. Number 1. Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II. The relationship between Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II of England is one of the most complex, dynamic, and ultimately inextricable partnerships in all of medieval history. While their later years were marked by conflict and Eleanor's imprisonment, their early union and the formidable empire they forged together reveal a devotion. Rudin. Eleanor, a woman of extraordinary intelligence, beauty, and independent spirit, was already a queen consort of France before her marriage to Henry. Her first marriage to King Louis VII of France had been annulled, partly due to their differing personalities, and her inability to bear him a male heir. Inheriting the vast and rich Duchy of Aquitaine, one of the wealthiest regions in Europe, Eleanor was a prize beyond compare. Henry, the ambitious young Duke of Normandy and Count of Anjou, saw in Eleanor not only an advantageous bride, but also a powerful partner. Their marriage in 1152, just 2 months after her annulment from Louis, was a swift and daring political maneuver that immediately united the territories of Aquitaine, Anjou, Normandy, and England under one ruler. From the outset, their union was a force of nature. Henry was a whirlwind of energy, constantly on the move, asserting his authority and expanding his domain. Eleanor, equally energetic and politically astute, was not content to be a mere appendage to his power. She actively participated in governance, often acting as regent in England during Henry's absences, presiding over courts and issuing charters in her own name. Her signature appears alongside Henry's on numerous documents, a testament to her active role in their joint rule. This level of co-governance, particularly in the early years, speaks volumes about a shared vision and a mutual reliance. Henry valued her counsel and recognized her immense political acumen, seeing her as an indispensable partner in his ambitious endeavors. Their combined efforts led to the creation of an empire, stretching from the Scottish borders to the Pyrenees. This vast territory was a testament to their intertwined destinies and their shared drive for power and influence. They were, in essence, co-architects of one of the most significant political entities of the High Middle Ages. The sheer scale of their shared enterprise and the constant travel and coordination it required demonstrated a deep and functional partnership, even if not always one of tender affection. In the later years, Eleanor bore Henry 8 children, 5 sons and 3 daughters, within a span of little over a decade. This rapid succession of heirs was crucial for the stability and continuation of the Angevin dynasty, ensuring the future of their vast empire. Her dedication to providing heirs, a primary duty of a medieval queen, was undeniably fulfilled. Her sons, including the future kings Richard the Lionheart and John, were destined to play pivotal roles in European history, and Eleanor was deeply invested in their upbringing and their future prospects. Her devotion was perhaps most powerfully directed towards her children and the legacy of the dynasty she helped to create with Henry, while their relationship eventually soured into open conflict, leading to Eleanor's famous imprisonment for her support of her son's rebellions against Henry. It is important to consider the underlying dynamics. Their conflicts often stemmed from the very intensity of their partnership and their shared desire for power and control over their joint creation. Eleanor was not merely a rebellious wife. She was a sovereign in her own right, protecting her own domains and her children's inheritance from a king who sought to consolidate all power into his own hands. Even during her long imprisonment, she remained Queen of England, a testament to Henry's recognition of her legitimate claim and the deep, unbreakable bond that tied them together through their children and their empire. He could not divorce her without jeopardizing his claim to Aquitaine and risking further conflict with his sons who were deeply loyal to her. After Henry's death in 1189, Eleanor immediately emerged from her long imprisonment as a powerful queen mother. Her actions in the subsequent years are a profound demonstration of her continued devotion to the dynasty she built with Henry. She tirelessly worked to secure the succession of her beloved son, Richard, overseeing his coronation and managing the realm. During his lengthy absence on crusade, she continued to act as regent for John, her youngest son, after Richard's death, ensuring the smooth transfer of power. Her political acumen and unwavering commitment to the Angevin lineage, a legacy that she and Henry had jointly conceived and brought into being, extended long beyond his lifetime. She was the matriarch, the true backbone of the family, often mediating between her warring sons and acting as a central figure in European politics. Well into her 80s, chroniclers of the time, such as Roger of Howden and William of Newburgh, document the turbulent nature of their relationship, but also the sheer scale of their combined influence. Their story is not a fairy tale of constant harmony, but a powerful illustration of devotion as a profound, often tumultuous, partnership forged in the crucible of power, ambition, and shared destiny. Eleanor and Henry were two of the most formidable personalities of their age, bound together by a marriage that, despite its immense challenges, reshaped the map of Europe and left an enduring mark on the history of England and France. Their devotion was to a shared project, a shared family, and a shared legacy that neither could have achieved alone.